Respiratory Protection. Contents. In this training, we will be discussing the Introduction to Respiratory Protection, types of respiratory protection, volatile organic compounds, general guidance, respirator fit testing, inspections, maintenance, and training. Introduction to Respiratory Protection. A respirator is a device that protects you from inhaling dangerous substances such as chemicals and infectious particles. Respirators are among the most important pieces of protective equipment for working in hazardous environments. Respirators protect workers against hazards such as insufficient oxygen environments, harmful dusts, fogs, smokes, mists, gases, vapors, and sprays. Respiratory hazards may cause cancer, lung impairment, diseases, or death. The identity of the hazard and its airborne concentrations need to be determined before choosing a respirator. Selecting the right respirator requires an assessment of all workplace operations, processes, or environments that may create a respiratory hazard. OSHA Standards. OSHA standards outline 4 major responsibilities of employers. The primary employer method of safety is to apply engineering and administrative controls to remove or reduce hazards. The employer shall be responsible for the establishment and maintenance of a respiratory protection program. Employers must provide appropriate respirators to employees. Employers must ensure the appropriate use of respirators, including fit tests annually and whenever conditions change. Respiratory Protection Program. According to Title IX CFR Part 1910.134, employers must institute a respiratory program that includes the following: procedures for selecting respirators for use in the workplace, fit testing procedures for tight-fitting respirators, procedures for proper use of respirators in routine and reasonably foreseeable emergency situations, procedures and schedules for cleaning, disinfecting, storing, inspecting, repairing, discarding, and maintaining respirators, and procedures to ensure adequate air quality, quantity, and flow of breathing air for atmosphere-supplying respirators. Training of employees in the respiratory hazards to which they are potentially exposed during routine and emergency situations. Training of employees in the proper use and maintenance of respirators, including putting on and removing them and any limitations on their use. And procedures for regularly evaluating the effectiveness of the program. Proper selection. If an employer requires the use of a respirator on the job, OSHA requires the employer to provide the appropriate respirator for workers. Selection is based on respiratory hazards and worker exposure. Only NIOSH-certified respirators should be used. Different models and sizes should be considered to ensure proper fit on employees. If exposure cannot be identified, the atmosphere should be considered an immediate danger of life or health, IDLH. For non-IDLH atmospheres, employer provides a respirator that is adequate for the protection of employee health, dust mask, full face piece. For immediate danger of life or health atmospheres, full face pressure demand SCBA with minimum service life of 30 minutes, supply on demand with self-contained air supply. Now that we've discussed the introduction to respiratory protection, take a moment to review these questions to reinforce your learning.